Welcome to More Fanime. I am your fan of more anime, and today we're going to be talking about Chapter 51 to Chapter 75 of the BLEACH manga. That's right, I am reviewing these chapters today. This is my part 3 review of BLEACH, and I got to say, I am hyped, people. It took a while. I read the first 50 chapters, and they built the BLEACH world adequately. I learned about some of the characters like Orihime and Chad and Rukia, and of course Ichigo, and that bow and arrow guy, which is pretty cool. Kind of reminds me of Sasuke. But it all led to this, people. It all led to chapters 51 to 75. That's right, this whole section of BLEACH is where the shit gets real. And I'm not just saying that, I'm serious. If you're going to ever give BLEACH a chance, as a first-time reviewer, because this is a blind review, by the way, this is the first time I've experienced BLEACH. If you're going to give it a chance, you need to at least get to Chapter 75. Not necessarily because Chapter 75 is great, but because Chapters 51 through 75 were fan-freaking-tastic. One thing is, it kicks off with the repercussions of what happened when they took on that super hollow, where Ichigo busted out some crazy spirit energy and was able to chase it away on his own, which usually takes like a Black Ops, a Black Ops Soul Reaper team to handle. Somehow he did it on his own. Obviously, this dude, Ichigo, is gifted, to say the least. I'm not usually a fan of main characters who just happen to have a lot of energy or power or are just naturally gifted. I just wasn't that kid. I was always the kid that had to work twice as hard as the person next to me to get half as much. And Ichigo seems to be the kind of guy that just is good at the thing he tries in the very first try. And I was never that guy. So I don't think I've ever attached myself to that kind of character. But Ichigo is a good main character, a good MC. He puts off this vibe like he knows what he's doing. He puts off this confidence that I like. He reminds me a lot of Kisuke Urahara from Yu Yu Hakusho. And I like Kisuke Urahara. So I'm hoping that slowly down the line I will come to love Ichigo as the MC, but right now I gotta say he's a good MC. But I think I might have figured out who my favorite character of this series is, and that is Mr. Hat and Clogs himself, the new sensei of Ichigo, sorta, kinda, Kisuke Urahara. He is rather badass in these 25 chapters. He trains Ichigo in the ways of the Soul Reaper. He trains Ichigo in the ways of controlling his spirit energy slightly, but also just, teaches him some endurance. I really like his character. It reminds me a lot of Kakashi from Naruto, but I like his design a lot more than Kakashi's design. Kakashi always felt too cool for school, whereas Kisuke, please tell me if I'm saying this right, Hat and Clogs, seems to be kind of a real chill dude, like a stoner type fella that's chilling. Look at that hat. Look at that crazy hat he wears. I don't know. I like the guy. I like his sword cane. It's really dope. I like that it's a girl sword cane. That was pretty cool. It's a princess sword. That's dope. I do think I like him better than Kakashi. I also think he reminds me a lot of Aizawa from the My Hero Academia universe, and I'm a big fan of Aizawa. He's one of my top 2 favorite MHA characters. So I gotta say, as of right now, Kisuke, Cat and Clogs, you're my favorite character as of 75 chapters into this series. Well, back to the story. It kicks off with the kids, repercussions and whatnot. Ichigo has lunch with the Sasuke guy, the bow and arrow fella, and Ishida, I believe. And Ishida is kind of a downer when you're having lunch with him. Most of the school stuff with Ichigo doesn't really have any effect on the plot. So, I mean, I read it and it's mostly slapstick comedy. So I kind of get right on by that, but it does not waste time at all. This section does not waste time at all. 1 chapter into these 25 chapters and Rukia is running away. She knows. Somehow, she knows that she is a fugitive, and she fucked up at some point, and the Soul Society is after her. I still am not sure exactly what she did. Maybe I missed it, or maybe she just effed up, and because she gave Ichigo her power? I don't think that was it. She definitely did something that we don't know about, or I happened to miss when I was reading, but I can't imagine that I did. She's getting chased down by 2 Soul Reapers, one being her adopted brother. His name is Gin. No, that's the villain. Her adopted brother is Byakuya Kuchikai. Yes. Byakuya Kuchikai. And this guy seems pretty intense. He seems rather dangerous, but he doesn't do a whole lot in these 25 chapters, but he does it in a way that makes him seem dangerous, powerful, unstoppable, because he basically on his own is able to take out Ichigo without barely moving. Like, they couldn't even see him draw his Zanpakuto. Other than that, he travels to the human world along with one of Rukia's friends. I'm guessing because this guy seems to know Rukia pretty well. He seems like he doesn't want Rukia to die. His name is Renji. I actually really liked this guy. He reminds me a lot of Bakugo from My Hero Academia. He gives off that vibe. He also kind of reminds me of Kiba from Naruto, kind of, but cooler. When I look at his picture online, he looks dope with that red hair. You can't see it in the manga, but I like the red hair a lot. The eyebrows are something to be said. They're like tattooed, crazy eyebrows. I like this guy. I think his Zanpakuto is the coolest Zanpakuto so far. Even better than Hat and Clog's Cane Princess Sword. This guy's probably my favorite Soul Reaper so far. I would like to learn more about Renji Abarai. I think he's cool. He shows up cocky as all hell, but obviously nowhere near as strong as Byakuya, Rukia's sister. No, brother. Sorry. It's been a long day. They show up. They kick ass, take no names, because they don't need to. And they capture Rukia. She basically goes with them willingly, because otherwise they were going to kill Ichigo in front of them, but they end up just beating him up to a point of almost dying, and they do the whole James Bond thing, and they assume he'll be dead anyway soon, so they'll let him live his last few minutes of life, or last few hours of life, as he sits in a pool of blood. Then he ends up being saved by Hat and Clogs, who shows up. Hat and Clogs actually sent him here to save Rukia, and I believe he helped him become a Soul Reaper again and help him separate from his body and whatnot. I really like every time he hits Ichigo with his cane and separates his soul from his body. I think that's always cool, and they show it pretty in depth in the manga. But yeah, Ichigo gets his ass beat by Renji, and almost slaughtered and almost murdered by Rukia's adopted brother, who doesn't seem to care about her at all in any shape or form. But it does seem like Renji does. It almost seems like Renji might have a little crush on Rukia, or they might have grown up together in the streets. You know, that's what I'm guessing, because he doesn't seem like Renji doesn't seem like a royal, like a royal guy. They almost treat Rukia's brother like he's some kind of king or related to somebody important. He's a aristocrat. You know, I'm looking at the manga right now as I'm reviewing this, and I love how Renji's blade just is almost like a whip. It looks really cool. So yeah, Ichigo gets saved by Hat and Clogs, who actually let him go fight them because he knew how stubborn Ichigo is. We all know how stubborn Ichigo is. I mean, he is an MC of a Shonen Jump product, and he would never have listened to him if he said, hey, don't even bother. Don't even go there, because they're going to get your ass beat and you're going to lose because you can't control your own powers. You're actually borrowing Rukia's Soul Reaper powers, so you'll never be strong enough to handle them on your own. My big question is why isn't Hat and Clogs going with Ichigo to the Soul Reaper Society to save Rukia? He seems really capable. I don't understand. There's a lot of questions I have about Mr. Hat and Clogs. I feel like he is a rather interesting character with a deep backstory that I don't know. He has a Soul Reaper Zanbakuto. So my guess is he used to be a Soul Reaper, and he left because of their shitty ways. That's my only guess. I'm hoping there's more to that mystery. There's not actually a lot of mysteries in Bleach within the first 75 chapters, to be honest. They're pretty blatant about what's going on here. They tell you exactly what's happening, and if there is a mystery, they solve it within the chapter. Because there was a point during the story that was really confusing where Ichigo is trying not to become a hollow, and he ends up inside of his head, and he sees this like figure of a person, of a man, and he's trying to tell Ichigo his name, and he's like, who are you? And he's like, you can't hear my name? You don't know who I am? You should know who I am. It ended up being the name of his Zanbakuto, because it's like a living sword. These swords are alive, and they all have names, we learn. But they solved that mystery within another chapter, so you kind of figure it out pretty quickly. With One Piece, for example, there's mysteries that get solved hundreds of chapters later, and there's still questions to be answered. Whereas Bleach is, the only questions I have right now is how strong is Rukia's brother, which is pretty simple. I'm assuming he's a tough SOB. And what's going on with Hat and Clogs? I want to know his past. I want to know his history. It seems like he's got some deep scars. But he's so funny, and yet he's so cool, and so chill, and yet he helps Ichigo. He doesn't even know Ichigo, but he sees something in the kid. He sees something special going on. Other than Ichigo trying to become a Soul Reaper again, because I think I forgot to mention this, Rukia's brother took the powers that Rukia gave Ichigo back, or eliminated his Soul Reaper powers, so he had to go through 3 tests with Hat and Clogs. One was really awesome, where he had to hit the little girl that's always hanging out with Hat and Clogs. And then the next one is he had to go inside this pit with his arms tied behind his back, and then figure out the name of his Zanpakuto before he turned into a hollow. There was a point where he had like a chain connected to his physical body, and Hat and Clogs broke it, and it started eating itself, and then oh my god, it was insane. It was intense. Ichigo started turning into a a dang hollow. Then he eventually was able to break that, and he even had like a hollow shelled mask on. He broke that off, and he busted out his Zanpakuto, which was still broken, by the way, because it was broken by Ichigo, or Rukia's brother. And he was able to easily, was it Rukia's brother or was it Renji? One of those two broke his sword, and it was just barely a sword and a hilt. Eventually, Hat and Clogs explains that your sword is too big, it means nothing, it's a bunch of bullshit. You need to find a way to control your spirit energy, because that dumbass giant blade ain't gonna do shiz for you here, Ichigo. And then Ichigo busts out an improved Zanpakuto, and it was dope. He pulls out this new sword and ends up showing just how much spirit energy he has when he cuts Hat and Clog's hat in half. It was pretty cool. Hat and Clog basically had to put up a shield of blood to protect himself from Ichigo. It was metal AF. I thought that was very interesting and cool. I mean, I think that Ichigo's got some untapped potential, to say the least. Ichigo actually had to train with Hat and Clogs for 5 days, just training endurance skills, fighting him every day for hours, I'm assuming. I don't know how much you have to sleep when you're in a spirit form, but I'm assuming he just fought and fought and fought, building his endurance. And eventually, he finished his 10 days of training, which does not seem like a lot, but maybe they can get a lot out of it being in spirit form. Ichigo ends up going with Chad and Orihime and the Sasuke dude, the bow and arrow fella. They end up working together. They end up working together. Chad is rather cool and calm and collected. I like Chad. He seems like a very nice guy. I like when they end up going through the portal to the spirit world, to the Soul Society, because there's like this giant blob coming after them, and if they don't get through it fast enough, they get sucked in and they'll die. And the Sasuke-looking bow and arrow guy, his cape gets caught in it, and it was really funny because Chad is like, just rips the cape off, because if you touch this stuff, it'll just suck you in. So Chad picks him up and carries him over his shoulder, and he's like, put me down, I can walk on my own. It was pretty cool. And it seems like Orihime and Chad are rather in-depth with their... Well, Chad actually didn't show off his abilities yet, but I'm assuming he's got control of his armored arm thing he did when he protected Ichigo's sister in chapters 25 to 50. He seems like he's got some real power behind him. Even when he doesn't use his spirit energy, he just seems almost indestructible, like an immovable object. A force of nature, Chad is. I love the name Chad, because I can never forget it. And then Orihime, I always thought that Orihime was more of a damsel in distress type of character, and I liked her friend better, sadly. And I thought that she should have been the girl to get the power to be part of the crew, and not Orihime, because she always just seems kind of like the princess. She's the main girl. She's the girl that doesn't need to fight. She gets protected by the main MC. But she's got some powers. She can summon little fairies out of her hair that have shields and whatnot, and she can reject. She actually ends up saving the crew as they get through the walkway into the Soul Reaper Society, which seems like a regular old Japanese town, actually, the Soul Society. There's like this section where all the souls hang out. I'm assuming you just live there, like it's heaven or something. Please comment down below and let me know. They arrive, and Ichigo wholeheartedly runs towards the Soul Reaper area, but gets stopped by a giant gate that wasn't there originally, which shows up in an epic fashion. And a guardian, a giant guardian man with giant axes, who says he's only lost or he's never lost or some shit in 300 years or some crap. And I was like, what? I mean, you're telling me, so this is the first opponent in the Soul Society, and this guy is never lost. So obviously this giant has never faced anybody that is beyond those gates, because obviously they're going to run into much stronger opponents than this giant guy. A lot of Shonen Jump authors like to show off giants in their shows, like Dragon Ball has dinosaurs and whatnot in the beginning of the series, or even Oolong turns into a pretty big dude early in the series. I mean, One Piece ends up doing a lot of giants, and they use it pretty well, but they wanted to show off Ichigo's new powers that he learned. He didn't really learn new powers, per se, when he trained with Hat and Clogs. He actually just learned endurance, right? He learned how to fight, and how to fight under pressure, or fight when you're in trouble, and not run away and whatnot. Even though Ichigo was always not much of a runner-away guy. He ends up blocking this dude, this giant, by the way, with his Zanpakuto, and he pulls out a second axe, and Ichigo blocks that. Ichigo is unfazed by this giant. Even Orihime and Chad try to help him, and he's like, no. Let me do this. Let me handle this. Y'all stay back with the cat. I think I forgot to mention there's a little black cat that guided their way. I almost want to call him Salem from Sabrina the Teenage Witch. He is the sensei to Orihime and Chad, if you want to call him that. And he's their guide in the spirit realm. He seems to be a mystery to me. Like, he almost seems like he might have been a person at one point, or still might be a person. I don't know. He can talk, but he trained them. He taught them everything. This little black cat. And he taught Orihime and Chad spirit energy control, basically. He taught them how to tap into those powers, how Orihime summons those little fairies, how Chad is able to make that spirit armor. If only they could combine their powers. Imagine if Ichigo could use the spirit armor, use the spirit fairies, and use a Zanpakuto. He would be rather strong, I would have to say. It is weird to me that Chad and Orihime just happens to have these abilities. It depends on who you are. Like, Ichigo just happens to have the powers of a Soul Reaper within him. But if he never met Rukia and somebody untapped his spirit energy, would it have been something else? Would it have been armor like Chad, or fairies like Orihime, or a badass bow and arrow weapon like Sasuke, man? I don't know. That's a couple questions I'd like to know. I'm really enjoying Bleach so far. I still want to know why the show is called Bleach. Like, I know why One Piece is called One Piece. It's because they're looking for the One Piece. I know why Dragon Ball is called Dragon Ball. It's because they collect the Dragon Balls. I know why Naruto is called Naruto, because the main character's name is Naruto. Why is Bleach called Bleach? Please comment down below and let me know. And while I'm at it, please subscribe to the More Fanime page. This page talks about anime. It talks about manga. And that's what we're doing here, folks. We talk about video games that involve anime or manga. I like those things, and I like to talk about them. And I like when you guys subscribe, because by the end of 2022, I plan to get 1,000 subscribers. And we'll go on forth from there. I'm enjoying Bleach a lot. I think that it's an easy read. It reminds me a lot of Yu Yu Hakusho. The same kind of vibe. It gives you those feels. There's not a whole lot of dialogue. There's a lot more action than talking, which is nice, especially when I'm also in the middle of One Piece, which is jam-packed with dialogue, sometimes too much information. Whereas Bleach, sometimes I can blow through 5 chapters in the same time I read one Piece chapter, because there's so many little thought bubbles that I have to read. And I appreciate that. It's almost like Bleach is a dessert, whereas One Piece is a main course type thing. It takes a while to eat, whereas Bleach goes down easy. It's moist. It's very moist and delectable. It's rich with badass fights and really, really good art. Like the drawing, the fighting in Bleach is well done. It almost feels like the character's moving off the page. That's how well I think the art in Bleach has been so far. The paneling is great. I love how easy and quick it is to read. Like I mentioned, I would definitely suggest reading Bleach. I'm going to continue this 25 chapter chunk review on it. Let me just finish this one. So the last chapter, around chapter 75, Ichigo, I almost called him Bleach because either way, Ichigo ends up beating this giant, and the giant's like, I like you, you're tough, you're nice, you treated me well, you didn't treat me like a freak, and whatnot, and you know what, you beat me, first person to ever beat me, which I find hard to believe. I'm gonna let you through this gate. I'm the gatekeeper, that's what I do. He picks up this gate, which is seemingly very heavy, and who's waiting there but this villainous-looking guy. I could be wrong, but he looks like a villain. The way his eyes are drawn. His name is Jin Ichimaru. This dude, I do like his look, but the way he looks at you in the manga, he just looks devious. This dude is waiting at the gate, like he knew shit was going down, because I think as soon as they got to the Soul Reaper Society, they were basically warned. There was an alarm going off. Renji was like, what's happening? People have infiltrated the Soul Society. What the hell? And he's waiting at the gate. The giant lifts the gate, and he's the only Soul Reaper there, and he's like, hey, you're the gatekeeper, not the gate opener, bud. What the hell? He's like, well, I lost, so I thought I'd let him on through, which doesn't seem like the good idea. And he's like, oh, giants that lose, they don't open the gate. Gatekeepers, they don't open the gate. They die. And so he cuts off this giant's arm without using any real effort with his Zanpakuto. The giant's arm falls, and then he pushes... the very last panel, chapter 75, he pushes Orihime and Ichigo and Chad and the black cat and the giant through, and the gate closes, and he's like, peace out. You're not coming in. And that's the end. I'm assuming they're not just going to give up and go home. My guess, my theory, is they're going to try another path into this Soul Society area where the Soul Reapers are held. Their main goal is to go break out Rukia before she gets executed. I don't think I even mentioned the fact that she's going to be executed for whatever the hell she did. All I know is she kind of went rogue for a while. I can't imagine that's worth being executed. Even Renji was like, executed? Wait, what? Maybe you, her brother, who's rather important to the Soul Society, like leader of the 6th Division or some shit, should maybe go talk to somebody up high? And he's like, you know I can't do that. That's already been decided. She's going to be executed, and the next time I see her is her death day. And how does that work with Soul Reapers? Like, do they actually die? It's weird where Renji, when they went to go pick her up, he was like, yeah, we're taking you to die. You suck. But when they get to the Soul Reaper Society, he's like, hey, Rukia, don't be so sad. We'll figure this out. We'll get you out of this. You'll spend 25 years in jail, which is nothing to us because we're spirit creatures that live forever. How long do Soul Reapers live, by the way? Please comment down below. It does seem like they age. The ones that I saw in these chapters seem like a various amount of ages. There was one of them that caught my eye that was hanging out with Geen. He had like an eye patch, and he had some really cool looking spiked hair. His name was Kinpachi. He seemed really cool. He was also a leader of a group, of a captain of sorts. He seemed really chill and wild, like he wanted to fight. I guess he seemed like the opposite of chill. I'm sorry. But he wanted to fight Rukia's brother, because Rukia's brother's this aristocrat dude who's been, fed with a silver spoon his whole life. That's the kind of vibe I got off these guys talking. They wanted to check on him to make sure he wasn't sad that his sister's going to be executed. Well, I'm going to stop talking. This is my Bleach review on chapters 51 to 75. I'm really liking Bleach. These last 25 chapters have absolutely caught my eye. It's really fantastic. The story is very interesting. I have a feeling the next 25 chapters are going to even top that. This was kind of a build-up to the next 25 chapters. I would not be surprised if when I get to chapter 100 on my next review that it doesn't just blow me away and I just start moving Bleach up on my favorite anime or manga list, because I have a feeling they've been building up to this. The last 75 chapters has been building up to this Soul Society arc, this rescuing Rukia arc, where they're going to have to fight some tough SOBs. Like, I don't even imagine Chad or Orihime even standing a chance against a Soul Reaper by themselves in any way, shape, or form. No way. Maybe some fodder, maybe some grunts that are like training to be Soul Reapers, but not a full-fledged Soul Reaper. I mean, Ichigo couldn't even handle Renji, who was obviously the sidekick at the time of Rukia's brother. So what can they do? Obviously, Ichigo is just naturally gifted, so he'll be okay. But what if they kill Chad? I could see them killing Chad. Someone should die during this mission, in my opinion, because it's a dangerous job. How many people have ever broken into the Soul Society? I don't know. I'm Mr. Morfetto. This is Morphanime. What'd you think? Comment down below. Please share, tell your friends, and subscribe. I'll talk to you later.